From our State House studio in Montgomery, I'm Todd Stacy. Welcome to Capitol Journal. Today was the 21st day of the Alabama Legislature's 2025 regular session. That leaves 9 days remaining, and there's talk of another 3-day week next week for this fast-paced session. Our coverage tonight begins in the Senate, where Alabama's largest ever education budget today got one step closer to becoming law. Lawmakers unanimously approved the $9.9 billion Education Trust Fund, plus about $2 billion more in supplemental and adjacent spending. Senate Education Budget Chairman Arthur Orr says the plan delivers major investments in student achievement, teacher support, and school facilities. The most significant change, however, is a new funding formula under the RAISE Act, short for Renewing Alabama's Investment in Student Excellence. Passed alongside the budget, the RAISE Act follows a years-long study of Alabama's K-12 funding system. Starting this fall, it will give schools extra money based on students' individual needs, including those in poverty, special education, or English language learners.
We took a big step as a state today in that we established this RAISE Act fund because we're acknowledging that it does take more to educate children in poverty or English language learners or special education students or gifted students. And so in doing that, we want to provide more resources to our education community, our K-12 education communities and schools, and help them do the job that they have to do with additional resources. And that's important, and the research all shows that the additional resources do help move the needle when it comes to the educational process of those types of students.
Senator Wagner and I'm safe to say that the only two senators that's in the Senate now that was a part of establishing the foundation educational program. And to move the program to where we are trying to move it now, I think is a very positive step and a very good step.
They'll all go to good old Chairman Garrett, so he's waiting downstairs very eagerly. But I would say that we are working well together. There were even funding requests that were important to him that I wanted to go ahead and address in the Senate, and then I'm sure we'll have some late requests of him in the House. So all that to say, working well together. I would hope we won't even have to go to conference, but I've also been around here too long to know that there's always something that pops up, but that's the goal.
The budget includes funding for a new plan to offer workers' comp insurance to public school employees. Senator Orr said he was particularly proud of that provision because it's past time to make that law.
Because if you get injured on the job, though your health care insurance, through PHIP would take over for the health care side. If you're out for 3 months because you wrenched your ankle on a pothole in the school parking lot, walking to the gym or something, there was nothing for you. You're out of work if you burn through your vacation days and sick leave, et cetera. So this will be important for injured workers. Cafeteria workers may get injured in the cafeteria. Those kind of people that frankly need that additional layer of insurance if something bad happens in a workplace injury.
With the education budget now through the Senate, focus in the upper chamber shifts to the general fund budget. The House has already approved the general fund at a record $3.7 billion for fiscal year 2026. Senator Greg Albritton, who chairs the Senate General Fund Committee, says that while the current budget outlook is strong, there are looming concerns. As federal relief dollars phase out and state revenues soften, he warned of potential challenges ahead.
The increases that we've had in all across the board with all the agencies and how we're going to continue to meet those demands. The biggest contributor to the general fund is the interest that we're earning from monies that we hold in the bank. That includes federal money, state money, ARPA money, all of that. We're still holding a large sum of cash because we're paying as we get things accomplished. All of that money is going to dry up, about 18 months or so? And we're going to try to get as much of that out as possible, as early as possible, to get it all finished out so we don't get it clawed back. However, that's going to put us in about another year or so when the funds are going to be out and the interest rates are going to be low, and therefore our biggest contributor to the general fund is going to be dry.
On to the House, which took up the issue of health care today. House Bill 477 from State Representative David Faulkner would allow the Alabama Farmers Federation to offer its members health plans. In committee yesterday, an amendment was added to the bill mandating that the Department of Insurance have jurisdiction over such health plans. That came from members concerned that there aren't enough protections, the same kind of consumer protections as traditional health insurance. That amendment did not sit well with Alpha or the bill's sponsor, who fought to have it removed on the House floor today. Lawmakers debated for more than 2 hours, but eventually removed that requirement and passed the bill.
I believe there were 98 yes votes on the final passage. So people wanted this bill. The only real discussion and the discussion that came up was about the stripping of an amendment that was put on in Health Committee. I wish that amendment had not gotten on. It was a close vote in Health Committee. As you noticed, most of the people on the Health Committee, many of them who voted for the amendment, did not vote for it and voted for me to take it off here on the floor. But whenever you do that, there's going to be questions, and I think that's where most of the questions came from. But what I want to say is let's don't let the time that this took, persuade anyone that this wasn't a popular bill. The House voted overwhelmingly in favor of it. It is going to be a good thing. You heard me enough out there, guys. There's 10 states doing this already. And Alabama, there's 5 states considering it now, including Alabama, so in their legislative session. So it's a very popular idea. It is something the farmers really want for their members. And so I think there's a lot of support behind this bill, as you saw.
And that bill now goes to the Senate. The House also took up another controversial bill on the issue of hemp. House Bill 445 from State Representative Andy Witt would set tougher regulations for the sale of consumable cannabinoid items like CBD drinks or gummies. It would require the Alabama Beverage Control Board to be the industry's regulator. Witt says regulations are needed to protect children.
This is one of the bills that I think you saw wide bipartisan support. It affects every neighborhood across the state. These are unregulated, unchecked, and dangerous products that are being sold to our children in our convenience stores and retailers across the state. And it's time that we put guardrails on this, again, to protect our students. That's in high school. 1 in 10 high school seniors admitted that they have tried the product in the last 30 days, which should be alarming. As I mentioned, this is unregulated, unchecked, so it doesn't fall under ABC, ALEA, Alabama Health. So when you go into a convenience store and you see these products, you think that someone has looked over them, and that is just complete inaccuracy. So my bill, what it does is puts it under ABC. We have a third party that tests the product to make sure that the ingredients are accurate and what is being said. It's in 21 and over alcoholic, beverage stores, or it will not be sold with ABC, but CBD stores or things of that nature, as long as it's okay with the municipality and the county.
That bill also now goes to the Senate. We'll be right back with tonight's special guests. Stay with us.
You can watch past episodes of Capital Journal online at video.aptv.org. Capital Journal episodes are also available on APTV's free mobile app. You can also connect with Capital Journal and link to past episodes on Capital Journal's Facebook page. And you can listen to past episodes of Capital Journal when you're driving or on the go with Capital Journal podcasts.
Welcome back to Capital Journal. Each year, Alabama Public Television honors a select group of high school students as young heroes, those who have made a positive difference in their schools and communities, all while facing unique challenges and adversity. This year's young heroes are Bailey Cox from Hoover, Count Threadgill from Auburn, Jaden Johnson of Decatur, Jamiracle Williams of Marbury, and Benjamin Wortham of Madison. You can read about each of these students' inspiring stories on our website. Just go to aptv.org/heroes. And joining me next are our APT Young Heroes here on set at Capital Journal. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I've got to ask, what has it been like? Y'all have had quite a week here in Montgomery. You're here in the State House. You've been around doing different things. You were honored at a dinner last night. What's it been like to be named a young hero and to be honored in the way that you have?
This is an incredible opportunity. I'm so glad to have been honored in this way, and this is an excellent scholarship to help me pay for college and all of my future goals and things like that.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
It's been new to say the least. I've never had an event like this. It's been really cool to see everything that happens and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to ask you about that too. You get to see the legislature in action, meet your local representatives. Some of them. How's that been?
It's definitely been an honor. I believe that it's kind of shaped the way that I think, and for my future endeavors, I sort of have this passion for international business, and this has kind of introduced me to the legislators and the senators, and so it's given me connections for everything in the future.
Absolutely. What about yourself?
Yes, it's been an incredible honor to be here. My thoughts on the legislator was very different from what I thought. It was much more fluid than I thought, honestly.
A little different than Congress, right? Because you turn on, cable news or anything dealing with Congress, and it's all the bickering, all the, nobody's getting along. Here, they kind of do get along most of the time, between Republicans and Democrats. So that's really interesting. Any thoughts on the legislature?
I like how orderly it is.
Okay.
I always expected it to be just pure chaos, but it's just super calm, super orderly.
What were your takeaways?
I thought it was super interesting to see them passing bills and doing stuff like that, watching them vote. Was really interesting to me. I really like that.
Yeah. Never know. Maybe one of y'all, or maybe all of y'all will be in the legislature or governor, or who knows. Well, I wanted to ask you, part of this is, y'all's stories of dealing with adversity at such a young age. And I'm curious what advice or what message you might have for those younger than you, right? Maybe in junior high, maybe coming up, who, they don't know yet that they're going to face some adversity in their life. And maybe what's some advice that you might give the younger generation? I'll start with you.
A message that I would like to give to the young people out there is to definitely just keep on pushing. Even if you fall on your face, at least you're moving forward, because you can never just stop. And for me and my house fire, it was really hard, but I just had to really adapt and be resourceful with the resources that I had. So just keep pushing.
Keep on going. What about you? Any advice for younger folks?
I'll say it's gonna get tough, but it's definitely worth it to just like you said, just keep on pushing and you'll get it. It's gonna get tough, but they'll make it. You'll make it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My advice to people who are coming up to the stage of their life is you're going to face challenges. That's a given. That's a part of life. You just can't stop. You can take a break. You can breathe, just figure it out, but you just can't stop moving. You have to keep going, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. Bailey?
I know it's a tad bit cliche to say never give up, but that's what I'd push the most because going through depression, self-harm, it's such a low point in your life and you think that you have literally nothing left. But I would just say never give up. Like, look to your peers, look to the people who love you and care about you because they're there when you need it most. So I would just say never give up and truly just rely and be there with your people.
That's well said. And I want to congratulate y'all, not just for the award, but for being willing to share your stories. I think that's a really important thing and kind of rare in today's world of having that courage, because you never know who might be out there that is going through something themselves and can see you as an example and say, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one facing adversity in life. So I really want to congratulate y'all and thank y'all for your courage in doing this. And yeah, being a young hero and getting some scholarship money is just icing on the cake. Speaking of that, some are nearing graduation, some are nearer than others. Any post-graduation plans that you're thinking about right now? I'll put you on the spot here.
No, it's okay. I plan on going to UAH.
Okay.
And I think I want to go into business.
How about that?
Yes.
We'll go around the circle.
I plan to attend LSU, and I'm going to be majoring in international trade and finance and then minoring in French.
Okay.
I'm most likely going to end up at University of North Alabama, and I'm going to do something that puts me on a stage, whether it be theater or music.
Okay, very good. They've got a good program up there, yeah.
I will be, excuse me, I will be attending UAB with a master's in cancer biology and a minor in Spanish.
Wow, okay. Well, those are some ambitious plans, and I look forward to following y'all as your careers get started. And come visit, come see us, come remind us of your career pathways. And congratulations again on being young heroes. You're an inspiration for all of us, and it's just we're lucky to be able to celebrate you here at Alabama Public Television. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
You can watch past episodes of Capital Journal online anytime at Alabama Public Television's website, aptv.org. Click on the Online Video tab on the main page. You can also connect with Capital Journal and link to past episodes on Capital Journal's Facebook page.
Since 1997, Alabama Public Television has provided programs, services, and resources to child care professionals, teachers, and parents. Visit aptv.org/education to learn more.
Welcome back to Capital Journal. Joining me next is Trish Crane, our senior education reporter here at APT. Trish, it's a big week for education.
Been a big week, yes it has.
So education trust fund budget is through the Senate. It was in committee this week, passed the floor today. Walk us through some of the highlights. I mean, it's a huge budget. Can't get to every line item, but walk us through some of the high points that we need to know about this ETF.
Okay, so, knowing that the whole package together is $12.1 billion with a B dollars. That's a record.
Absolutely.
That's an historic amount of money, and there are four things in that number. There's the $9.9 billion regular education budget that we're all used to seeing. Then there is a $524 million supplemental allocation. We've seen those supplemental allocations the last few years.
Excess revenue.
Excess revenue beyond what was budgeted, right? There's never any excess money, right? It's just beyond what was budgeted. Then we have a $1.25 billion allocation from the Advancement and Technology Fund, which is really split between K-12 and higher ed based on enrollment. Then we have a new allocation, $375 million, will be pulled from the Educational Opportunities Reserve Fund. It was created a few years ago, kind of putting away money, as Senator Orr said this week, for dark times, but it's also for innovation. So they're going to pull that money out to pre-fund 3 years of the increases that will be incurred because of the new school funding system.
Well, I actually wanted to ask about that next, because traveling alongside the budget is this RAISE Act that, the way it's explained to me, kind of modernizing our funding model. We fund schools basically from a head count. right? How many pupils you have equals your allocation, and this changes that to kind of take special needs into consideration.
Yes, yes, and special needs being a broad category, but also one of the 4 categories, right? So the idea behind it, they studied this for a year, and they came up with the lawmakers that were on the task force said, we're going to do a hybrid model because people were uneasy about doing away with the foundation program. So we're still going to have the foundation program just as it's always been. Plus, on top of that, we're going to have this additional money that's going to use weights to like 20% more money if you have a child in poverty. There are 4, so that money, I'm sorry, I get ahead of myself. There are a lot of details to this I don't want to get into, but there are 4 categories of like additional needs that we know research says if you can invest more money well, that's always the trick, right? Getting it spent well. Then you can improve student achievement for students with challenges. So that's English learners, children in special education, children in poverty, and gifted students.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of special, we haven't done a whole lot for gifted students in this state. So it's pretty exciting to see this happen. It hadn't happened yet. It's still a proposal.
I know local school systems, principals, superintendents probably have to be thrilled about this because let's say you do have a high concentration of English language learners like they do in North Alabama. Well, you're not getting any more right now. You're not getting any more money for that, and so I'm sure that a lot of local money has to go to that. So they're having to pay for that. The same thing with special needs, right? If you're special education, it just costs more money to hire the people that need. There's specialty workers, and so I know that the locals are probably thrilled to see some help coming from the state for these categories.
Yeah, and if I could just, there are funds in the Education Trust Fund budget, kind of what you think block grants, that they could access for English learners. But you have to know the grants are there. You have to apply for them. There's money for gifted students in a grant. There's money for at-risk students that is, broken out. So there was a little bit of extra money, but this is a whole lot more.
Right. That's really interesting development. I'm actually kind of surprised. I don't know, surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised that this concept has taken off. I thought there was going to be a lot more resistance. Anytime you kind of upset the apple cart, somebody might not like it. But knock on wood, because it's still got to go to the House, and we'll see from there. Right. While I have you, I wanted to ask. You've been doing some reporting on this, because obviously we're here in the State House, but we're watching Washington. It's hard not to pay attention to everything that's going on in Washington, especially on the education front when it comes to cuts.
Right.
We've been, made aware of some cuts to Alabama schools. There was that Selma situation. Maybe some of the cuts have not been as bad as we thought. But what's the update now? Because I know that there was a school board meeting today.
There was.
What's the latest on cuts from Washington from the education department?
So I guess you'd say we're kind of lucky, Alabama is, in that. And these are updates from Dr. Mackey, our state superintendent. During COVID, there was all that federal pandemic relief money, bunches of buckets, lots of details. The third bucket of money, the biggest bucket of money, came through the American Rescue Plan. Well, it was so much money that there were extensions granted. Like originally all of the money, and money had to be obligated by September 30th of last year. They districts had until December 31st to spend it, but really through some technicalities, they had another year to spend it. Selma was one of a few districts that hadn't spent all their money, and they asked for late liquidation, which was fine. They were granted it, and then one Friday afternoon, an email came in that told states that, I'm sorry, the deadline's over. Like, we're not going to honor those extensions. But Dr. Mackey said today, so that was going to result in Selma losing about $4 million that they were using to construct a school.
Oh boy.
And so they have begun, Dr. Mackey told board members, they've begun an appeals process that's pretty detailed. So the Department of Education, even with, not granting any of the extensions that the previous administration had, the U.S. Department of Education Secretary said, we're going to give you a chance. You know, if you really need this money, you can appeal to us, but we need details. But as Dr. Mackey said, Alabama really had spent almost all of its money. There are other states that have $300 million, $150 million,
Ouch.
a lot of money that all of a sudden they're not going to have access to. So we're in a better place than most states. We really only had a little bit left to spend. But you know, $4 million to build a school,
At a
that
local
hurts.
level,
Yes.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, Trish, we're out of time. I really appreciate you coming on and give us an update, and we'll catch up in more detail in our next Spotlight on Education that's coming up in June.
Sounds great. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Moundville Archaeological Park contains the remains of one of the largest prehistoric Native American settlements in the United States. Founded around 1120, Moundville was located on the banks of the Black Warrior River, 14 miles south of present-day Tuscaloosa. A thriving ceremonial and political center of Mississippian culture, the site was occupied for more than 3 centuries, but was abandoned by the early 16th century.
That's our show for tonight. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our Week in Review episode. That's 7:30 right here on Alabama Public Television. For our Capital Journal team, I'm Todd Stacy. We'll see you next time.